Hey, welcome to Crizzy Books. I am in a hotel. I just ran over my toe with the chair. Anyway, I'm in a hotel room and I'm bored, so I'm just looking for reasons to make videos. I live in a hotel now. You know, in this economy, it's important. You gotta be wise about how you spend your money, especially on housing. And so I live in a hotel now. It's just more cost effective for me and my lifestyle, and free continental breakfast every morning. People come in here, they clean my room every day. Fresh towels. It's not bad. At the end of the year last year, I had intended to make a list of, my favorite everything that I read. But I mostly focused just on the books and like genres of books and things like that. I didn't do anything in terms of like comics, manga, any of the other stuff that I read. I know that this is primarily a channel where I talk about the books that I read. But I read a lot of comic books and manga too. I love those things too, and I just don't talk about them as much. And I didn't make any list of my favorites at the end of the year. And so I think what I'll do instead is I made up a little tier list. I've never done one of these before. I've always wanted to, so we're going to do one. And I'm just going to go through each one that I read and where I would kind of rank them, so you can kind of get an idea of what I thought about everything. Sound good? I don't care. We're doing it anyway. I've got the tier set up, and here's everything that I read last year. So, let's just get this started. We'll start at the top and we'll go all the way to the end. So first up, we've got Batman Year One. This was a reread for me. I read this long time ago. Frank Miller, reinvention of the Batman origin story, his first year as Batman. It's definitely one of those things like essential reading when it comes to Batman and comic books. Like, you're going to want to read Year One because of how important it is. It really informed the Batman that we know now. We wouldn't have The Dark Knight or Robert Patman. We don't get those stories without this. It is very, very important and influential in what it is. Now, for me, I think it's still good, but a lot of people would put this up there with the greatest things ever written. If I'm being objective about it and on a reread, I don't really feel that way. But I do get it. For the time, I'm sure when it came out, this was mind blowing. But I wasn't there. I'm reading it now. I'm still going to put Batman Year One in the A category because it's important. But I definitely am not going to say that this is S tier. This is just good stuff. Truth. Red, White, and Black. This is the story of Isaiah Bradley, the first black Captain America. The story really focuses on Bradley and his fellow army soldiers as they are rounded up into a camp and experimented on by the U.S. government with super soldier serum. And it really only works for Isaiah. I was excited to read this because what a cool story, what a cool concept. But unfortunately, the story doesn't really do much. It kind of felt unfinished or maybe a little half-baked, which kind of sucked because the character is really cool. We just don't see very much of his actual story or really get to know him past when he gets that super soldier serum and starts doing missions. It just kind of peters out, and then we end up going to kind of the end of his life. So I'm gonna put this is tough because it's cool, but it wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. I would put it as a B, but it's a low B. Wolverine Origin. So this is a full-blown story of Logan, how he came to be Logan, discovering his mutant powers and how to deal with them. This is surprisingly good. I didn't expect much from it. The art can be a little wonky at times, but I think the overall story is... I enjoyed this. I would put it in the high B category. It's almost an A, but not quite there. I still really liked it. Penguin, Pain, and Prejudice. So I read 3 or 4 different Penguin books last year because of the show. I really liked the show, so I wanted to know more about the character. What was surprising to me is that there is not a ton of Penguin stories out there. I remember this one being pretty good. It was probably at the top of all of the Penguin stories that I read. I'm going to put it in the B because it wasn't it's not groundbreaking or anything, but it is very good, and it gives you a good sense of the character and his motivations, and I think this one really aligned well with the show. It hits a lot on his insecurities and things like that. So yeah, I'm going to put that at a higher mid B tier. Up next, 20th Century Boys. I had heard nothing but great things, that this is one of the greatest manga series of all time. It's very Stephen King-ish. It's really good. You got to read this. I was incredibly disappointed with it, to the point where I didn't even want to do a review about it. I kept saying I need to get on camera and talk about this, but I just didn't. I couldn't bring myself to do it because I felt like all I was going to do was just trash it, or at least it was going to seem that way. It fell so flat for me, and just let me put it this way. I think the first half of this is really solid and really good, and then somewhere around that midway mark, it completely loses all momentum. Things just start kind of happening for no reason. Characters pop back up for no reason. I think within the last issue, or there were new characters who are whoa, why is this character showing up now? Isn't this story over? And it just kind of kept doing that. It felt like it overstayed its welcome majorly. It kept introducing new plot lines and just a lot of oh, I bet you didn't see this coming, that now this whole thing happened. And it's well, no, yeah, I didn't see that coming, because it doesn't follow the story at all. It just seems like this convenient new route for the story to go in that is never going to pay off. It just seemed to end really quickly and without a whole lot of resolution. Characters just acting completely out of character. I thought it was a mess, in honesty, and it was a real disappointment. I'm going to put it in the C category just because I think that first half is so good. But the rest of it, I'm scrolling around. I shouldn't be doing that. The rest of it is D. I just did not think it ended well at all. It just wasn't that good. And that's my opinion, so suck it. Next up, we have Upside Dawn. This is a kind of collection of short comic books by Jason, who I really like his art style. I think his stories are really funny. They can be really, just silly and lighthearted, but also they can have some kind of more weight to them. I read it pretty early last year, so I can't really recall anything, but there were some things I really liked, and I think I appreciated the art more than anything else. I'm going to put this kind of a mid-B tier. It's pretty good. It's nothing to take super seriously, but I definitely like Jason. I like what he does, and he has a very iconic look to his art. Boys Club by Matt Fury, the classic, iconic Pepe the Frog, feels good man. That's where this comes from. This was very stupid, but pretty enjoyable. A lot of it is just total nonsense, which I'm fine with. It's very absurdist. No story or anything to follow. There's really pretty much a majority of these don't even make any sense. So it's funny for what it is. I'm going to put it in a low B. Maybe above these two, I think. Yeah, I think we'll put it kind of in this area. I think that's fair. Batman Year 100. Another one that I've heard a lot of hype about, but that just didn't totally land for me, unfortunately. I went into this thinking that this was about Batman operating at the age of 100 years old. The cover made it kind of seem that way. That's not what this is at all. Not that bothered me. I just thought that's what it was about. It's got some really cool stuff. The art is great in it. But I kind of felt like the story was just a little, I don't know, kind of maybe all over the place or hard to follow. I wasn't as invested in it, and it just didn't really totally work for me. I'm going to put it kind of low B. I think, yeah, about there. Up next, we have Cage from Marvel Max. Last year, I discovered the Marvel Max imprint, which is just a more adult-leaning comics with superheroes that this one being about Luke Cage and him being involved in a kind of gang war that's going on. The art in this is by Richard Corbin. This is the first time I had ever seen Richard Corbin's art, and I love it. It is incredible. Unfortunately, it's the best thing about this story, because this one didn't fully land for me either. It had a lot of good things going for it. It had a decent setup, but by the end of it, I was just what was that? So it was fine. The story was not great. The art is amazing. I'm going to put this in a C because it's just, I don't recommend reading it. Kingdom Come, another one of these ones that everybody says is like essential, must read, especially when it comes to Superman. I'm not a huge Superman fan, but I've been trying to read more stories to maybe get a better perspective on the character. This is kind of like an alternate timeline universe story where Superman is basically given up being Superman. Things are just not going great with like villains and heroes on the street. Like, stuff's just not that good. He kind of gets convinced to come back in, and then things go from there. Again, I'm sure for the time when this came out, it was good. And like, you know, it seems to be people who were there when it came out really love it. For me, reading it now in 2024, it was fine. I'm going to put it kind of like here, like lower end B. It didn't amaze me in any way. And I could be like a more jaded mindset of like, when I think of superheroes and like them thinking about these more existential, like, what is our role in the world when it comes to being alongside humans? Like, I watch The Boys, and I think that The Boys does a great job, or like Invincible, of like showing you that like a world with superheroes from a human perspective is terrifying. It's terrifying. And they never seem to fully grasp just how scary and dangerous all of them are, heroes, villains alike. And Superman kind of taking this position of just like, oh, turn the other cheek is crazy. It's crazy. But that's kind of how the story goes. In the end, they're just like, we turn the other cheek. We're good guys, right? And it's like, no, you're not. That's kind of how I felt. But I didn't think it was amazing or anything. It's not bad, but wasn't blown away by it. The Death Ray by Daniel Klaus. This was kind of a fun one. I'm not going to spend too much time because I don't fully remember it, but I remember being like, yeah, okay, like, this is fine. It's about a kid who has a death ray, and him and his friends use it to kill people, basically, that they don't like, or like to try and help other people and stuff. I'm going to put it in C. It wasn't like amazing. It's not really a standout. Up next, we have Kent State by Durf Back Durf. I read 3 Durf Back Durf graphic novels last year, and I think that all of them are fantastic. This one, Kent State, this goes through in graphic novel format everything that happened at the Kent State shooting, what led to it, all of these things. It's incredible. I highly recommend it. This is an S tier. Not All Robots. This was from indie publisher AWA Upshot, who I've read some other stuff by them that I really liked, so I started to check out some other titles that they had, and I thought that this was great. This is a future where robots have just become a part of our everyday lives, almost to the point of like they're a member of your household. People seem to be afraid of them, but they are there for everything. It's very funny. It's really good. I'm going to give this one an A. This is fantastic. So we have another Durf Back Durf, Trashed. This one is about his time as a garbage man growing up in his teenage years, and it just goes through kind of the whole, you know, things he experienced doing that, and then also the kind of loop of trash in America and how it's handled, and you know what happens to it. It's very good. Again, he just does a great job. I love his art and his way of storytelling and everything, and like informing. I'm gonna put Trashed in A. This is just very, very good. Sin City, Frank Miller. I don't know that I loved all of it, but you know, for the most part, it's pretty good. It's pretty solid. There are definitely like volumes of it that are dragging, or I was kind of like, why are we doing this? But you know, I think it was good enough. I'd put it up here in the B category. This light keeps flashing in my face. It's just a crappy USB one. I don't know. We're just going to turn it off. How about that? Up next, we have Arkham Asylum, Grant Morrison. This is the one that I made me realize I don't like Grant Morrison. I'm not a fan of his way of storytelling. I think that a majority of it is just this kind of like, look how smart I am. You know, if you don't get this, you're an idiot. It just feels very like... It's not that it's over my head, like I get what he's doing, but it's just like, why? Just tell the story, dude. Also, there was like a lot of like text, like coloring issues that I was like, I couldn't read half of what was happening. It was fine. I'm gonna give it like, I'm giving it a C. I didn't love this. It can go in the upper tier of C because it wasn't like the worst thing ever. Come on now. But Yeah, I'm done with Grant Morrison. I won't read any more of him because I just don't like him. Thor Vikings is another Marvel Max one. This one was awesome. Awesome. I highly recommend reading this. It's so cool. Quick gist of it. Vikings are cursed for like 1,000 years or something to just sail the seas for 1,000 years. And then when they come back, they find themselves in New York City, on the shores of New York City, and they come off and they are immortal. They are unstoppable, and they slaughter all of New York City. And Thor tries to stop them, and they beat the absolute shit out of him. So he has to come up with a new plan. It's awesome. It's so good. I love this one. I'm putting this in an S. It's so awesome. I think it's absolutely... This is a must read. Punisher: The End, also very awesome. Another Richard Corbin one. This one's bloody. It's a post-apocalyptic Punisher story. Liked it a lot. Definitely a top-end A. Fantastic. Love it. The Crimson Cage. I talked about AWA Upshot earlier. This was what got me, like, kind of them on my radar. This is a retelling of Macbeth through pro wrestling, and it is fantastic. It is so good. I'm going to put this in S. I think it's awesome. I think if you love pro wrestling, you should read this. Solanin. Big fan of Goodnight Poon Poon. Same writer. Was hoping for kind of more of that emotional, like, not even gut punch, chainsaw to my heart kind of thing that Poon Poon does. This one, not so much. It does deal with heavy topics and themes of, like, growing up. Definitely not as, like, hard-hitting. It's still good, though. I thought that this was really good. I'm going to put this at, like, the top of B. Wolverine, Frank Miller. Right? Isn't that? Or is this Claremont and Miller? I think this is Claremont and Miller. This is, like, the first solo Wolverine arc series. This is what made Wolverine, like, the character that we all know. This is what started it off. He goes to Japan. If you've ever seen the movie The Wolverine, that's pretty much this. This is kind of what it is. I thought this was good. Again, this is kind of like, Batman Year One, where it's like, it's essential reading to understand the character and kind of the origins of what it evolved into now and how we got here. I'm going to put this at an upper B too, because I think that, like, the story itself didn't wow me or anything. It's still very solid. It's good, and the art is very good in it too. Definitely worth reading. Yan and Mu. This is Junji Ito. Apparently the only... No, I did read other Junji Ito last year. I love Junji Ito. My favorite. I think his art is amazing. His stories are kind of usually subpar, but the art more than makes up for it. This one is about his cats. And wow. So good. This is so short and it packs so much into it. I recommend this to anyone, especially if you own a cat. You should definitely read this. It's great, and it is heart-wrenching, and it almost made me cry. I loved it. Aliens Dead Orbit. I'd read this years ago because everybody made a huge deal about it. And then I completely forgot about it, so I decided I'll just read it again. There's a reason I don't really remember much from it, because I think that it's just kind of fine. Like, the art in this is what stands out, but the rest of it, the story just felt off. Like, I couldn't really even tell you what happened, and I've read it twice now. I'm going to put it in the C. It's definitely above... maybe it's not. I'm going to put it, like, in this area. Under Earth, Chris Gooch, I believe. This is about, like, people who are stuck in this underground prison. It's like an open-air prison, but it's in this, like, giant pit. And the things that they do, there's, like, a whole economy and hierarchy that goes on down there, and organized crime and stuff like that. I definitely would put this kind of a mid-B. Yeah, good stuff. Spa. I can't remember who wrote this, but Spa was great. This is very funny and absurdist, but also horror. It felt very Adult Swim in graphic novel form, and the art is just very unique, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I would put this in A, just strictly because I just liked it. I thought it was just very simple and easy. Monsters. This is by... I don't remember his full name, but he did Weapon X, and Weapon X is, like, one of my favorite comic books ever. This was his own personal thing. He worked on this for, like, decades to get this done. I didn't finish it. I thought it was very, very, very drawn out. and would not get to the point in anything. I quit reading it. The art was good. It had a decent idea and a story, but it just, I don't know what you call it, self-indulgent. It just felt like we were just spending so much time on things we didn't need to, and the story refused to progress. So I'm going to put Monsters in a D for did not finish. And also, I just didn't think it was that good. Underwater Welder, Jeff Lemire. I like Jeff Lemire a lot. Sweet Tooth, Hawkeye. I've read quite a few things that he's done, and this was pretty darn good. Kind of illustrated more in the style of Sweet Tooth, a guy who lost his father, who was a diver, and trying to basically find him again. It's like this reconnection between himself and his father. I'd put it, kind of in a B around this area. Definitely above Sin City. Actually, probably above Penguin. Death Note. Death Note is tough. Kind of like with 20th Century Boys. It gets to a halfway mark and then keeps going. It's like overstaying its welcome to the point of just like, this one basically repeats itself, and it just didn't do it any favors for me. I still think Death Note is good and worth reading. It's just that once the first big giant climax and everything happens, it just does that first part again, basically, with different characters, and kind of ups the ante and does a lot of ridiculous stuff that it wasn't doing before. It's still good. I still like Death Note, but I just didn't love it. Penguin, I don't remember what this one is called, but this is an older one from the 80s, and it just goes through, again, just a lot of the Penguin stories are the same, where they talk about his insecurities and the things why he acts the way he acts. I'm going to put it in a C. My Friend Dahmer, S. Absolute S tier, Durf back Durf. This is all about Jeffrey Dahmer. I've always had some kind of weird curiosity and fascination with serial killers, and this is written by him. He went to school with Jeffrey Dahmer. He knew him personally, and he was a part of the friend group that Jeff rolled around with. And so you get that unique perspective of somebody who grew up with him and who really knew what he was like growing up, and can tell that story, and it is just so interesting and sad. If you're a fan of true crime, read it. If you're not, read it, because it's truly a heartbreaking story about this kid and what he ended up becoming or was, and how there was just nothing there. Nobody cared. Nobody, including the author. He'll say it too. It's just, yeah, truly screwed up and sad. Slam Dunk, S tier. This is one of the best things I read last year. I loved Slam Dunk. Fantastic. I didn't think that this one would live up to the hype. A basketball manga, I feel like this is going to get boring, and it doesn't. It is great. Tomie, Junji Ito. Second Junji Ito I read last year. Not his best. Like a lot of some of the other stories of his that I've read, this one meanders a little too much, or it just is okay, we kind of just saw that same thing over here, dude. Then you're doing it again here. Great art in it, though. Story-wise, kind of on the weaker side. So I'm going to put it over here in kind of the lower B. All You Need Is Kill. This one was really good. I liked this one. I'm going to put this up in the A category. I thought that this was great. Penguin One Bad Day. This is just about Penguin. He's kind of lost everything to a guy called the Umbrella Man, and how's he going to get his empire back? And so he does that. It's pretty good. Definitely up there with the other one of Pain and Prejudice of being a good, solid Penguin story. And this one actually kind of makes him feel even more likable, which is interesting. Men I Trust. This was a graphic novel. I kind of don't really remember this one that much. I know that it had a lot to do with friendships and loneliness and relationships. I remember the art being really unique and liking that a lot. I'm going to put it kind of up here. It's bad that I don't really remember it, but I do remember it not being bad. So there's that. Next up, we have Green Lantern Earth 1. This is a modern retelling of Green Lantern. I've never read Green Lantern before, and one of the daunting things of being like a comic book fan like me, where I haven't been reading all this stuff forever and I don't know certain characters, it's like, I want to know where they come from, but I don't want to have to go back to like the 60s to read some drawn out origin story that maybe doesn't even apply anymore. I thought that this was awesome. I really, really like it, and it definitely makes me more interested in the character moving forward. Cat Gamer. This is a little manga series I picked up mostly because this little cat here kind of looks like my cat. And I just thought it would be fun. This is way more on the lighthearted side of manga than anything else that I've read. But I like it. I haven't read on. I have like other volumes after this. I have like 2 and 3, and I haven't read them yet. It wasn't like that kind of thing that hooked me that hard, but I'm sure that I'll read them eventually. I'm gonna put this kind of at a high B. Ghost Rider, Trail of Tears, absolute freaking S. This was awesome. After the Civil War, Ghost Rider, Western, very, very dark, very violent. Out of all the Marvel comics that I read last year, this was up there with like just, this was so cool. And the first Ghost Rider story I ever read, so it's like big shoes to fill going on from here. The bar has been set very high. Ghost World, Daniel Klaus. This was a reread for me. Good stuff. A. Very good, especially if you're like kind of like me, where you feel a little bit like an outsider, especially in like high school, because that's what it deals with. And just kind of finding yourself and your identity and who you are and things like that, and just dealing with like growing up and stuff. Finally, we have Penguin Arkham Asylum. This is another just Penguin story. It was good. I liked the design of this Penguin. I'm going to put this up here with these other ones because these are all kind of the same, almost like in a lot of aspects. The story's very similar. But I liked this penguin design the most. He's very short. He looks like a penguin. He's got a big long nose, like a beak. So I guess that's all. This is the tier list. This is everything. I hope that this gives you some stuff to read. If you're interested in reading comics, I would absolutely recommend anything up here. A majority of these, I would say, depending on your tastes, these are all very good. I mean, most of the stuff in here, yeah, whatever. That's how you saw the tier. I explained it already. But I'm curious to know, what were your favorite comic books or manga or graphic novels that you read last year? Go ahead and sound off in the comments. Let me know. I'm always looking for new recommendations of stuff to read. If you disagree with any of these things, let me know. I don't care. You're not going to change my mind, but sure, go ahead and share your opinion. I shared mine, so be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel. As always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.